your Mama's Banter Better podcast. Today, my co host Jen will not be able to join us, which is totally fine. But as a guest today, we have Mai Ling, psychotherapist and wellness center owner, to chat about today's pressures in the motherhood mental load.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm so happy that you were able to give this another shot. One thing that Jen asked me was, what was your hardest part about being a mom? What do you find is the most challenging thing?
Oh, I mean, that's a loaded question right there. But I guess when I think of in terms of the mental load is really juggling, like when I think of it, like all the balls that we have to as mothers, like the things that I wasn't even prepared for, like, you just don't read about them in the how to, what to expect when you're expecting books.
Yeah.
I think that that's totally fine. Like, I don't think we need to necessarily be more overloaded with information, but I just found as a mother coming into it's just one of those things that feels like you're jumping off a cliff because you can't really ever be completely prepared. So it was like managing expectations, your own expectations of who you are as a mother, who you are as a partner, if you have one, all these societal, cultural expectations like that, I think wasn't even in my realm of awareness. And I think that over time, as you do things as a mother, you do things in your everyday, like they just show up and it's like, oh, you're uninvited. I didn't know, how did you get here? Like, where did you come from? And I think that's been both a rewarding and challenging part of motherhood, I think.
You have 3 children that are considered neurodivergent. Are any of them on the spectrum?
No.
Okay.
I haven't actually taken them, we don't have any diagnosis or anything for any of my kids, but in my work, I actually work with adults who are often seeking, either they've come to me being late diagnosed autistic or ADHD or ADHD, or they're seeking. So in doing this work, it's just I'm often in this realm and in this world. I haven't.
I mean, you don't really need a diagnosis considering what you do for a living. I feel like you'd be able to determine what your own children are.
Well, as psychotherapists, we don't diagnose, but it's definitely, when you work in the space, like you just build that experience. And I definitely know that my family is a neurodivergent family. I think coming to terms with it, even in myself and my husband, we didn't think about these things. We didn't have these terms, several years ago. So these are all
No.
things that conversations around these ideas and terms, I think, is great because it helps us to really see ourselves maybe in a different way or a different perspective. That can be really helpful in
Yeah.
understanding ourselves better and even each other. So yeah, when I see my kids and I see that they need certain needs in certain ways, then it really helps me to really help them.
And like the way they function, a neurodivergent kid versus a neurotypical, like you can see the differences in how their brain process functions and how they handle certain situations. Like you can see the differences. So I already knew that Xavier, I want to say when he was around 18 months or so, I would say that I was like, he's probably on the spectrum just because of certain things that he was doing. He already started like walking on his toes at that age. A lot of hand flapping, a lot of spinning, a lot of sensory seeking. So even if he's not like on the spectrum, he definitely has like sensory issues. He has issues with his hair, like sensory issues with his hair. Like if we don't brush it, say for a couple of days, like during the day, like we usually would, he regresses back to us not wanting to touch his hair. So it's like he needs that consistency.
Yeah. I think managing, like one of the things I'm learning as a mother is to really tune into my own intuition as a mother. Like there can be so much information. It can feel so overwhelming at times. Like, what do I what thought should I believe in when it comes to parenting, or even like, let's say, sleep training. What do I follow? Oh, my auntie did it like this,
Oh
and
my
this
God, the
does it like
sleep
this.
training, the sleep training,
Yeah.
like the amount of input that you get from other moms too, like the
Mhm.
different directions you're being pulled and what's right and what's wrong and what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Like I've tried everything when it came to Xavier. Like I tried everything. And like the kid does what he wants when he
Mhm.
wants when it comes to sleep. Like sometimes there's
Mhm.
just no way about it.
Mhm.
You know, their brains just don't shut off.
Yeah. Yeah. And you as a mother, you have to sift through all that information of like, okay, I'm being told this, I'm being told this, but at the end of the day, you're the one around Xavier. You're the one who's going to
Hmm.
know him the best. So I think, in our previous conversation that we talked about, like, advocacy can be a really big part of motherhood, or being a
Yes.
mother of children with higher needs. And that in itself can be a lot to manage mentally, like that next
Especially being the
video.
default parent, the one who makes all the appointments, the one who
Mhm.
looks out for all those signs, the one who schedules the play dates and all of it. Like on top of worrying about, is he sleeping? Am I doing the right thing with his sleep? Am I doing the right thing with his food? Is he eating enough? Is he not eating
Mhm.
enough? Like all of that stuff on top of everything else. Like I finally prioritized myself for self-care yesterday, which is probably like the first time I've done that in I want to say a couple of months.
Yeah, that sounds
And
like a long
I feel
time.
refreshed.
Yeah, yeah. What did you do?
I gave myself a facial and I took care of my hair, so I freshened up my hair color a little bit. I just made it a bit more vibrant and gave myself a bit of a trim and just something so small like that can
Mhm.
make you feel, "Oh my God, I feel alive again."
Mhm, lift your spirits, right?
Yeah, you feel better because like, "Oh my God, I did something for
Mhm.
myself today."
Yeah.
Not for somebody else, not for my husband, not for myself.
Mhm.
And like it's so hard for us as moms to prioritize that. Like I remember as a kid, my mom would make sure we had everything, but would always buy stuff for herself last,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we
And
remember that.
my mom, single mother, worked two jobs, typical latchkey kid upbringing where me and my brother were home a lot.
Mhm.
Um, I did a lot of the cooking, so I was already helping with some of that mental load at a younger age. At like 11, I would say I probably started doing that. 10, 11. Back in the day when you could actually stay at home with your younger sibling and it was okay to be at home with your younger sibling at that age. I don't know if you remember that, but
Totally.
like
Yeah.
10, 11 years old, you're watching your sibling that's 6, 7 years old,
Yeah.
and that was considered okay.
Mhm.
Now it's like, what are you doing? These are children. Well, they can't be home. You underestimate what children are capable, what kids are capable of at a certain age. Like you really underestimate it.
Yeah, we do. I think I have to consciously remind myself of that sometimes, of like how much freedom I had as a kid. In some ways, that was really great. Some ways, probably not so much. But it's so important for our own self confidence and autonomy, and to be able to have those moments where we can just like be free and and do whatever you know
Yeah,
comes to
and
mind.
then like what is it? Like things are different now. Kids can't just wander the streets like they did when we were kids.
Hmm.
Like we, be home by the time the street lights come on. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't okay, be home before the lights come on. No matter what time it was. As long as them lights came on after you got home, it was fine.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
now you can't even like kids can't even walk home from school in daylight without there being a problem. So I can't even imagine having a child that's like in an area where say buses are too close. Like
Hmm.
you're too close for a bus to pick you up and you're technically too far to walk but you still have to walk to school. I can't
Hmm.
imagine being a parent and making your kid walk to school. My We did it when we were kids, but again, things were different then.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
You can't just let your kid walk to school by themselves.
Yeah. I remember doing that like in kindergarten, junior
Yeah.
kindergarten. Yeah. I'm like, what, like 4, 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what, fourth grade, fifth grade, walking to school through the alleyways and all that by myself without having to worry
Mhm.
about being approached by some weirdo.
Mhm.
Now you can't even like walk into a plaza
Do you feel like
without.
it's scarier now?
Oh,
Now?
so scary. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what are some of your concerns when you think of your kid walking out?
Bullies.
Yeah.
Bullies. That's, yeah, bullies. And of course, abduction, because like who wouldn't be worried about that, right?
Yeah.
But bullies. I would pray that my son is talking by the time that happens, because that way he can defend himself. And guess what? My
Yeah.
mom taught me, you don't start a fight, but you finish it. If a kid picks on my kid at school, best believe I'm gonna be teaching him, you know what? If he puts his hand on you, it's okay to fight back. This
Mhm.
whole, oh, but he hit him back, and your kid hit my kid, best believe my kid's gonna defend himself. I'm
Mhm.
not raising a kid that's gonna just let himself be abused by people. No, he's going to defend himself, especially if he can't really talk.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Like, you would have all those concerns. How old is Xavier again?
He's 3. He's 3. So, but preschool
Yeah.
starts this year.
Okay, I can see your concerns for sure. So my kids are a little bit older, and in fact, when they were 3, of course, like couldn't imagine them being on their own. I just wasn't there yet in my mind. But
Of
now
course,
that
yeah.
they're older, some of like, one takes the bus, the other two walk together, and it's really nice actually that I can somewhat take that off of my plate. As they get older, I think it
Yeah.
changes as your kids get older. Like, the things that you get overloaded by that you have to manage, they just change. They just
Of course,
different
the
things.
load, it's a different stage of
It
life,
evolves.
right?
Yeah. It
Like
just more.
there's you're always going to have a mental load as a parent. Even I feel like as an adult parent, my mom, she tells me, "Oh, how much she worries about me." I'm like, "Why? Don't I come to you like help for that anymore or anything
Mhm.
like that?" She's like, "Yeah, but she's like, I know that you struggled with, postpartum depression and,
Mhm.
like, I know how hard that was for you to climb out of.
Mhm.
And I still don't feel like myself after dealing with postpartum depression. I just don't.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely don't feel like I got my groove back, if that's the right word to say. I feel like this podcast has just kind of helped me in terms of, okay, I actually have a reason to do my hair and makeup again.
Yeah, you're
You have
giving
a
more
dog
purpose.
too.
I do. So she takes up a lot of time and space and energy. She's a Doberman, so I have to spend a lot of time in training her, making sure she's well behaved.
And how old is she again?
There's a load there too. She's 6.5, so like I have to make sure if my kids have friends over or something like that, she's good and everybody treats her well. Like, she's a great dog, but she needs to be respected. And
Of course.
so that's a thing I have to kind of manage too when people come over, and make sure that she's doesn't hurt anyone. Not that she's
Yeah.
at risk to, but like, it's just on my mind. It's just one thing I think about because I want to make sure that everyone is safe in my.
Yeah. And Dudley, so he's American Bulldog Pit Bull. He was tested around young kids, like 8 years and up when we got
Mhm.
him, but he
Mhm.
hadn't been around children yet. So that was
Mhm.
one thing that made us a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
But then he met my son and he imprinted, and that became like his person.
Yeah.
So, but then became the whole other aspect of, oh my God, he's already showing signs of like possession. Like right away, he was
Mhm.
fixated, um, and he was crying. And I went to go pull him out of his crib, and Dudley like came in between us. I'm like, no, that's not
Oh,
gonna happen.
yeah.
So what happens? You have to retrain, and you have to make it
Yeah.
safe for him to be around the baby again. Not that it
Mhm.
wasn't safe; he would never hurt the baby, but it was us saying,
Mhm.
no, you're not going to prevent us from coming and going to be
Mhm.
around our own child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good that you caught on to that because that needs immediate attention.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
and that's, you know, that can be a lot in itself to add, I like to think that there's a dog breed out there like that's right for everyone. So anytime anyone asks me what dog they should get, I always say do your research because they all come in different shapes, sizes, temperaments, and I think that there's always one fitting for what you're looking for.
But it's also there's the load as well of like making sure your kids understand to respect the animals too, and making sure that they respect personal space.
Mhm,
A lot of the times the parents blame the animal if they get out of line, but what did you do
mhm,
to make sure your children knew boundaries?
mhm. Yeah, exactly.
And that's a huge problem, and I
Yeah.
see it all the time.
Mhm.
And that's another part of the load. It's like, whose responsibility is it? It shouldn't be the mother's, but it ends up
No, but
being the mother's.
it often becomes the mothers or the primary person,
Yeah.
especially when you give into well, like your kids were too young to beg you for a dog, but
No, yeah.
but but when they make those promises, yeah, I'll clean up after the dog or I'll do all these things, like you have
Is
to
that
be
what
really
happened?
good. Um, no, not so much. This one was
Okay.
I got my dog for me. Yeah.
Okay, okay. But I mean, yeah, in most cases, that's usually how it is when they get to like 9, 10. I want a dog and I can be responsible. And then when it
Mhm.
actually push comes to shove,
Yeah.
they usually don't do it, right? They'll do it for like a week or two and then okay,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? And I've seen that happen many times too. And that's a lot. Like that's a lot for like the mom already deals with so much cooking too. Like,
Mhm.
how do you deal with cooking meals when you're already running businesses or your center? You probably
Yeah,
work from home too sometimes.
I
S-
do.
So
My
how do
day
you
was
manage cooking and cleaning and working from home, but also probably going to the center and having to do stuff there too? Like, how do
yeah.
you manage all that time?
Yeah, it's, definitely a delicate juggling and balancing act. Sometimes I feel like I'm juggling and balancing at the same time. My day looks different from day to day, although that's not so bad for me because I do actually like a lot of variety, like, that's a personal need for me, like, I need to keep things, like, you know, different and changing that I like that in my life. So it's not too bad, but some things require more prep, like for food, and it just doesn't always happen. So I feel very lucky to have a really good support system. And I think that if you don't have that, it's really worth the investment and whatever that looks like for you, like it's so important to find ways that you feel supported because I think as mothers, we often feel like we have to do it all or we're told by
Yeah.
society we have to do it all or for somewhere we got that belief somewhere, maybe we learned that, like, I know for me I learned to be really independent in my life, like I got a lot of things done, and so when I became a mother I just felt like I had to do it all, and I think learning that actually I don't have to do it all, actually I can ask for help, that was probably a big whole journey in itself for me.
Well, it's also like learned behavior too, right? So like you watch your mom likely do
Mhm.
it all. You've watched that your whole life. Oh, my mom did everything, so like I should have to do everything. Like, and then again, there's the independence. You were taught to be independent. I was taught to be independent. I've been on my own since I was 18,
Yeah.
right? So like I was on my own at a young age, and that's at no. My mom had already kind of taught me how to be independent in that sense, right?
Mm.
And then obviously being on my own from a young age, you learn other things, how to budget, you learn how to clean and cook,
Mhm.
other things besides what your mom taught you,
Mhm.
right? There's a whole other avenue of learning to be independent that way. And then you take that and you put it into your parenting, but then you also take pieces of your mom that you
Yeah,
learned from your mom and
yeah.
bring that into your parenting too. If there's any advice that you have before signing off, maybe to other moms.
Yeah, I think, I wanna reiterate something is, like, as a mom, do whatever you need to remind yourself to know within yourself, like, down to your bones and to your core how valuable you are, whatever that, like, put on your phone, that's something you see every day, on your wall, surround yourself with people who remind you of that. Like, whatever it takes, like, remember that you're so valuable. You're a very important piece of the puzzle, right? Of your family. And you are worth every investment you put into yourself. So know your value. There's so much more I could say, but I think just if I
Yeah,
could
and
say one thing, it'd be that.
it's very true, and unfortunately, a lot of us have a hard time recognizing that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today on the show. Really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a small table talk with our guest, psychotherapist Mai Ling, who owns a wellness center. For those of you who weren't able to catch it. Next week is postpartum and bouncing back. So stay tuned for that. Live streams, couple of episodes, lots to chat about, I'm sure. If you want to be a guest on our next show, please send us a message and we'll get you sorted. Have yourself a great day. Next week.
I can't tell you what a song you do.